my camera here so we can see all of this. Yes, that should do. Good morning. It's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube, and I'm here to create our healing list event for August 2023. So right now for me today it's the 31st of August and I'm very excited to be here. So we have 31 people on the healing list today. Thank you all for your support. So I look forward to connecting with you all very soon. Hi Kathleen. So the plan, about an hour ago I was just sitting with, okay, what are we going to do for this event today, which is what I tend to do. And often it just comes very clearly. Hi Joe. This time I felt like I wanted to draw a card. I'm very happy with the card I drew. Emotional rebirth. So this is our focus today. Emotional rebirth. My plan is, Teala, Janice, hello. Emotional rebirth. My plan is to smudge. So we're going to do some smudging in just a moment. Clear the air, clear the energy. And then I've got some paper here, some pink for support and love. And I'm going to create what feels to me at this point probably like a tree or something that's growing and something that's sort of birthed from a seed, like a tree or something. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling, something that grows. And as I'm going to write your names on with this. So there'll probably be a name here and there, and then I'll draw a bit, and then I'll add some names, and I'm just going to let it all unfold. Hi, Linda. So that's that. So I'll be using texters or markers. I don't know, we call them texters in Australia, but markers on that. And I've got some pastels for the ends, just to really bring some energy through. So I tend on drawing. I felt like this was a really good way of aligning with that emotional energy, because emotional energy and creative energy are quite closely aligned. So I find sometimes if I'm feeling kind of wound up or unbalanced emotionally or unstable, I find doing something creative as a way of expressing that energy tends to align with that. It's like also too in the past when I've worked with children or people that can't easily find words to explain how they feel, because that's quite tricky, especially if we haven't worked out how to do that properly yet. It can be difficult to go from a feeling to a word. It can be very difficult to describe that feeling sometimes. So I find that for children and those that can't express that feeling in words, that actually creating something's a great outlet for getting those emotions moving and getting them out. So I felt this was really appropriate. And at some point I'm going to play my quartz singing bowl. So that's the plan, and I'll be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. So first of all, before I start smudging, I want to talk about the two words here, emotional rebirth. So emotion, think of things like your emotions, feeling, your sensitivity. Emotions tend to be quite inward, although we can outwardly express them as love, as anger, as any type of feeling, enthusiasm. That sort of thing. So we can express them outwardly, but our emotions are sourced usually, or they live inwardly within us, within our skin, let's say, within us. I think of flow when I think of emotions, and I think of movement, because emotions want to be in motion. So there is a movement with emotions, and I feel like that's a really valuable thing to know and remember. Otherwise we can tend to get stuck and stagnant in an emotion because we're not letting ourselves feel our way through or let it move to the next emotion. Hi Jane. So grief is a great example of that, because with grief it's very difficult, especially at the very early stages. It's very difficult to let our emotions sort of move to a new emotion, because we might be holding on to that grief and trying to come to terms with the reality that that person's not with us anymore. And that struggle to accept that actually holds us in this kind of hovering, a big hovering emotion of grief. So as we find, and as we're ready to find acceptance about what's happened and the reality of that person not being here anymore, when we're ready to come to terms with that in the weeks or months or even years to follow, then that tends to help get the energy moving again. So emotions, feeling wants to be moving. It is part of what guides us forward and moves forward. So feeling one thing to the next feeling. Now the rebirth, also softness comes up with the emotional energy. It's sort of soft, but it can be very intense, as we know. Rebirth, the rebirth word. So I think of birthing again, the new, renewal. It's cyclic as well. Rebirth, death, you know, things coming to an end, things coming and things starting again. So it's cyclic. And there is an openness, I feel, that's required too when we're birthing or when we're rebirthing. That renewal or that moving into new beginnings requires an element of openness, although we can be closed and resistant to it and just kind of stubbornly make ourselves go through a new beginning. But the best way we can probably slide into it or flow into it is to be open to the potentials, open to the unknown that lays out before us. So in regards to our theme, emotional rebirth, this is especially aligned with emotions. So especially if you're on the healing list today, I'd be tapping in and seeing, how do you feel at this point? Like, what's your current state of feeling? And be really honest about that current state now, not how you felt yesterday or how you might feel later, but what is your current state now? Are you feeling reasonably content emotionally? Are you feeling tired or depressed? Are you feeling worked up? Are you feeling enthusiastic about your life right now? What are you feeling? So maybe tap into that emotion and get a sense of whether this is an emotion that you've been holding for a while. So if it is a depressive energy, emotion, or if it is an anger or a frustration, when did that initial anger or frustration arise? Was it this morning? Was it yesterday? Was it last week? Was it last month? Why are you still holding on to that? How come that emotion still stays in play? What's the reason? And it's not a judgment, it's an observation. Why do I still feel angry when this thing happened a week ago? Why am I holding on to this? Because remember, emotions want to move. So as the emotion comes to the surface and we acknowledge it, then we let it move and we let it flow to another emotion. So if we still feel anger, or we still feel frustrated or even depressed, that's been coming from the past, it's come with us for the last days or weeks, maybe even longer, then it may be worth looking at, what about this are we holding on to? And how can we let that hold go now so we can rebirth and let some new feelings come? And it almost feels to me like let some new feelings be birthed. Let how we feel about something or someone to change. And that takes me to this card, 67. It's in the action category. And down here it says, a new level of feeling. Are you willing to let yourself feel on a new, perhaps deeper level? Allow how you feel about something or someone or even yourself to change. Emotional transformation, flow, maturity, and a new perspective. So this is like fern fronds in the spring. They're so tightly coiled up and they start opening up in the springtime, and I find that so inspiring. There's big ferns in the rainforests. So this is the unfurling, this is the opening now, this is the coming out of hiding and out of the shell. So with that, I'm going to light my smudge stick. So we're going to do a bit of clearing now. So whatever's come up for you, if you've got something specific, or if you just want to generally move some energy for yourself and do some letting go and releasing, then this would be a good focus for you now. So take some nice big breaths. Okay, so we ask this sacred smoke to flow over our bodies and carry away with it. So carrying away with this smoke all negative energies, entities, cords, hooks, attacks and attachments. Anything, especially emotionally, that we're holding on too tightly to now that has no room to heal because we're holding on too tight. We're keeping ourselves stubborn or fixed or firm or stuck in that old feeling. Let's give ourselves permission now to let these things go. And you can use your breath to breathe out and release. And imagine surrendering that you've been holding on to. Surrendering it away from your body. Surrender it to the sacred smoke. And allow yourself to let that hold go. And let some new feelings come forward. We also call forward the Great Spirit, our God and Goddess, all of our spirit guides, our angels, our power animals, our masters and loved ones in spirit, our ancestors and all beings of the light, and any other specific guides or beings or loved ones you would like to call upon, then please do that now. And we ask that they help us stay connected to the earth beneath us, connected to the universe above, and bring both of those energies above and below into the centre of our heart. We trust and know that we are safe and protected now and always, and so it is. Okay, let's put out this stick and let's get into our creating, which I'm feeling ready to go. So we've got a blank canvas before us. What is going to be here at the end is anybody's guess, including mine. I have no idea. All I know is I may do a tree, but it may not. I may even start with a seed, actually. So we have a blank canvas before us. Anything is possible. And this not only represents this literal piece of paper, it represents our life. And especially perhaps on an emotional level, but if there's other stuff going on for you physically, then this could certainly be connected with you physically as well. So what is in front of you now in your life that is a blank canvas? And what are you going to do with this? What can you create for yourself moving forward? Remembering that creative energy is very aligned with emotional energy. So as you create, then you help those emotions be expressed and help them move and move into a new feeling and a new feeling. So we get into that flow and that rhythm. So excuse the side back of my head. And I'll just get in here into position, squishing my finger, and I'm going to start adding a first couple of people here. And what am I going to go with? We'll go with green for now. So take a nice big breath, and I'd really like to get a bit closer to this, not necessarily to me. Okay, we'll just keep coming a bit closer. Excuse the wobbly. I'll go back a little bit in a minute. Okay, so nice big breath. So we're going to start here with Carol White on our healing list. You can kind of see Carol White. I've got Susan Sonsteng. So as I'm writing your names down, I'm imagining bringing you here. So I'm going to do the first three on my list. Nicki, and excuse my writing because some of this is not really in the best, easiest position. Nicki Mohler. Okay, so we've got you three. So wherever you come in on our healing list on this paper is also significant. So I would say those of you here right now are here on the blank canvas. What are you going to create for your lives moving forward? Okay, let's go with this dark blue, and we're going to start with the seed. Can you see here? The seed. And I'm not worrying about anything too fancy with this drawing because I'm doing it on the wall in an uncomfortable position. So we've got a seed here. It's looks like it's split and it's getting ready to open and germinate and become what it's going to become. We're going to add some black here into this split because this represents the unknown that's splitting and splitting from within, but there is an unknown element connecting with this as well. The unknown that we may be afraid of as we prepare to rebirth and bring a new space in our life. I might add some pastel to that a bit later. So as at the seed now, I'm just going to add some more people right down here, and we've got, I don't know why I started writing S, because it's Jane Corlett here, and we've got Kanti, Devi, Wedad here at the seed, and we've got Matthew Keith. I feel like I want to do this in threes at this time. Matthew Keith, all down here at the seeds. So you're aligned with this seed as we're preparing to grow. And I want to bring energy around this seed because it's got life. It's got life. Our new beginnings, our new ideas have life. They have a life of their own in some ways. So now I'm starting to, this seed wants to sprout. So it starts with a leaf, a single little leaf here, and also a small root that also comes down into the ground that's going over Kanti's name. So this leaf is representing the growing and the coming out and the bursting open of this seed. Now here we're going to also add the next three, which is Chelsea Keith, we've got Rebecca Ross, and we have Suzie Nicholls. I'm going to put you in the middle here, Suzie, 2 L's, Suzie Nicholls. And so we've started to sprout. Let's use the names here. I'm going to go over you, Suzie, because we're going to grow now a little more. Growing, and we've got branches now coming off, we've got options, we've got paths, we've got opportunities, we've got abundance opening up for us as we branch out, as we step into the unknown and find the courage to have a go, to try. Every time we step into the unknown, it's a risk. We're stepping into the unknown, not knowing if it's going to work out or not. Now some brown here for our next three. We've got Priscilla Kimboko. And we've got Bridget Mehrtens. Right, me there. And we've got Janice Chalmers. Growing amongst the growth. Okay, so from here, we'll keep the brown out. I feel like I want to really strengthen the trunk. And I'm just going to go over names here. I don't want to be too precious about not going over names. Your names here, doesn't matter if you become camouflage in with what's happening. So now we're becoming like more wood. There's more of a wood feeling as this seed has now grown even more. It's no longer a sapling. It's becoming wooden. Okay, so at this point, we're going to add the next three names, which is Joanna Levine and Kathleen Glen and Rayna Ortiz. So you're in the wooden part, the growth, but it almost feels like these things are becoming more solid now, becoming more real. I'm going to do something crazy because I feel like I want to focus on the roots. So I'm going to turn this upside down. Yeah. And now imagine these as roots going down. So this is the seed, we've flipped it. This is now the roots that were the branches, and still are the branches and the roots at the same time. And we're going into red Red's very physical colour. So this is about bringing the changes or bringing the ideas, bringing things down into form in the physical. So in the physicality of the being. Now I feel like the roots want to come out a little bit more horizontal, less vertical. So just extending the roots out. As I say, I'm not feeling precious about preserving names. I just want to express and create here. So I'm going over names. Now I'll take a photo of this when I'm done and share it too on the Patreon, as a Patreon post, because it could be interesting to see what's over your name. So we've got red. I'm going to just now go against my own rules and grab a red pastel. So I want to bring a softness, but I want to bring an intensity of red through here into the roots as these really stretch out on the horizontal. So this is more talking about, on a horizontal level, to me, is about the changes applying in our physicality, but especially on our life's path. I want to add a bit of orange as well, which brings that emotional element, like a passion or a, you know, something that we choose, something that we want, something that we're backing with an emotional interest. Should have bought something to wipe my fingers on. I'll just use my box. I don't want to use my trousers because I already got pastels stuck on those and stained. Okay, so next we are going with orange. And the orange colour aligns with emotions. And I'm going to add here Avril Daly and Pamela Florea. And Nicole Wiggins. And we're going to go for a fourth one now, which is Angie Griswold. So just crossing her off there. Okay, so from here, I feel we want to expand out in a mandala kind of thing. So I'm going to start from here. We're going to stay upside down for now. This may stay, it may move back, I don't know. Going back to the brown. Actually, no, I want to go with the purple. What's that? Okay, we'll try this purple here. I don't know if you can see that very well. I want to create a centre point. This feels like the heart, and the heart is part way up the trunk or part way down the trunk because we're in upside down mode. And it's just below the seed and in the centre of where the tree roots or the roots of this seed stretch out. And I want to expand this now. So this is now expanding this out from self, out from the internal place and into our external life. And I'm going to add some names on this. I don't really like the purple. I think I got the good purple out. My computer. Oh, this one might be alright. Okay, let's add now Kimberly Veness. So this is the expansion out from centre. Kimberly Veness. And we have Emily Fussell. We're going to do 5 here. Emily Fussell, double S, double L. We've got Angela Fraser. And Nicole E. And Michele Burch. Michele Burch. Okay, so in the expansion, the expanded area here are you guys. Now I'm going to turn this back around. So that was in the root area, the underneath. And just making sure we're in shot. Yeah. Okay, now we can have some fun up here in this space. So up here there's space, there's room. So we've got growth and we've got a lot of things happening down here. But it feels like up here this is this is space to create in. This is space to move, some elbow room in our life. So it's not all crammed and all complex and all complicated and all overwhelming. That we have room to grow, room to move, room to stretch ourselves, room to change our mind, room to contemplate things and consider where we are on the steps on our journey. In fact, I do want to make some stepping stones. We're going to go with the pink stepping stone. So I'm imagining this now as like a mountain or a road that goes over a hill. Carol White, your name is here, but it looks like you're leading like a train that wants to go down around over the hill here. So let's just highlight this hill, this road that we're taking. Where are we taking? It feels like it wants to go off the cliff, or it wants to go down a sharp, steep incline or decline, isn't it? Going down the hill, but it's a very vertical drop here. But it feels like the train wants to get going. We've got Carol here starting the train. Well, you're going to be at the back, but you're starting it off there, Carol. And adding to this train going along our path here is Anne-Marie Douglas. And I'm just going to fit now as many names as I can on this path. So if your name's on the list, see where you come. Anne-Marie, just coming up to the hill and getting ready to flow. It feels like things are like, you know how when we walk up a hill or a mountain and it's kind of hard? It's hard physically to get up to the top. You know, we can stop, we can be panting. And then when we get to the top, there's relief. You know, like we can look out here at the view and notice the view and where we find ourselves. And whoa, finally we made it to the top. And then things happen quickly. So this is quick. This is a drop. If it doesn't mean like a drop negatively, I feel like this is a quickening of the path. Things happen faster as the momentum builds and we're moving down the hill. We're accelerating at a faster rate in our life moving forward. Next person I want to add here is Allison. Moving into Jayne B. Acceleration, movement forward. Sylvia Barley. Teala Smith. So it almost feels as we're getting further down, and if you're one of these people on the, on this momentum that's going down, this thing's really speeding up. Things have probably already started as well. Joanne Monroe. And that's all I can fit on there. And I've got one more person on the list, our new person. So let's see where we're going to go from here. So I feel like that was our stepping stone area, our path, moving forward and moving down, especially in regards to our theme, emotional rebirth. And let's focus on this happy person up here and give them some hair and a flag to hold. I've had this thing about flags lately and just things blowing in the wind. And actually I'm going to put our last person's name in this flag. This feels like a celebration in some ways, and this is Christi, and welcome to our Patreon group, Christi, and I trust you enjoy the time you spend with us. So Christi, you're on the flag. So the flag, I feel like the wind carrying the flag and the message of the flag and what this is. It's in blue, so it's aligned with truth and clarity that we're sending out into our life that is wanting to come in. And I feel like I want to add a lot more blue, but now I've got all the names up, I can start using pastels. So I'm going to grab my blue pastel and start bringing some blue in. Feels like clouds, but it also feels like wind. It's movement. It's carrying the change, carrying the intentions forward in our life, the movement of these. Bit of charcoal just to bring more movement like wind, carrying our dreams, our ideas, our change that we want to make and what we want to birth in our life forward. Now under this hill, I'm going to paint this or draw this in as a lush green because it's full of growth and life. It's lush. It may be like the green pasture on the other side that we imagine as well. Now let's bring in some brown, red brown into this wooden or these tree roots, this growth here. Now what I'm noticing's missing, which I'd like to add, are some leaves. We've got a few early leaves that have grown, but there are no leaves on this as it stands now. I'm going over a door jamb here, so I've got a big lumpy thing at the back, which is interesting. Okay, let's bring some green in, and the green's going to bleed into this hill. The green are the leaves. This is the growth. These are the parts within us that want to really stretch up into spirit, stretch up into the universe, and stretch higher up in our life to increase our standards, to reach for more, to reach for improvement, and not settle for second best, let's say, or less than what we deserve, or less than what we want. So this is the leaves for growth, personal growth. And it all comes back to centre, but centre's moved a bit compared to where it was when the page was upside down. So I'm going to bring some yellow into centre. Like, this is our solar plexus, this is our power centre, this is our strength to keep going, our strength to grow, our strength to see things through, to increase our standards, to birth ourselves and rebirth ourselves emotionally, to let our relationships grow and evolve as well, including our relationship with ourselves. So just adding some yellow through to these leaves, just now becoming very much like a mandala, extending out. And a sun, it feels a bit like a greeny yellow sun here. So let's add a bit of orange into this and really bring focus to this being a sun, but actually now it looks like a flower, and it's got a stem that comes down here. So it's a flower, again growth, but also blossoming, and letting our heart, letting our power, letting ourselves open in a really sensitive, soft yet purposeful way. Opening up and not being too afraid of ourselves and our power. So the roots down here, this red area, this feels now like flames. So I'm just going to add some orange. Oops, I'm making a real pastel mess here all over the floor. So some flames here of orange and yellow. And red. So the flames of healing, the flames of change, the flames of transformation, all coming out of this single seed down here, this single seed that I want to draw in white now. Everything that happens in our life can spark from one thing. One thing. It could be a change in perspective, a change in attitude that can open up so much and become like a seed in our life. Could be something that happens in our life that might be quite difficult, that starts from that one thing that can evolve and grow into carving and moulding who we become as people. So it all comes from one thing, and our change and our improvement for ourselves and our life and our relationships can also come from that one thing, that one willingness to shift or open or forgive, to let go, to move on, to focus on something new. It all comes from that one thing, that one decision that we make. So let's not be hesitant about that one thing and making that choice or that decision or that change. Let's see what potential this one thing has, because it is a seed. And as we know, seeds can grow into the most amazing oak trees or the most amazing fruit trees or any type of plant that comes from a seed. It can turn into something amazing. It can also turn into a weed. But if we are discerning and aware, we can realize it's becoming a weed or has become a weed, or it's an ivy that's trying to strangle the other good things in our life, and we can pull that seed out and tend to our garden and tend to the things that have seeded and sprouted. But it all comes from that one. And this is where I'll stop on the drawing, because I feel like this one thing, that one decision, that one moment, that one event, that one thing, and there are multiple one things, but things sprout from that. Then next to it there'll be another one thing that sprouts from that. And how is this garden for you? Is it full of weeds and things that are taking over and blocking out the light of the good things? Can you get into your inner garden and pull the weeds and let something beautiful grow from that one thing that started yesterday or today or last year or when you were born or whenever it started? So that's that. I'll take a photo so you can see where your name sits. Probably some of the names are quite hidden, but you might still be able to see your name. So that's that. Thank you. Thanks, Jane. Okay, let's just give my fingers a little wipe here. Naughty me. I'm wiping on my... I'll tell you what's really handy to do my videos on, and it's my ironing board. So I've got my ironing board here, and so I'm just wiping my fingers on my ironing board. I guess my clothes won't like that. That's all right. Okay, let's do a little singing bowl now around this, and I want to hold it down here and really especially focus on the one thing. All this comes from the one thing, and I just feel like this is really, really important. That one decision, that one shift in attitude, that one shift in behaviour, that one thing that we believe, that one event, that one connection, that one moment, it sprouts from that one thing. And there's power in that. So I want to hold this down here, and I imagine sending this energy from the bowl up through the seed and out to you all here on the healing list. Let's take a nice big breath. And you know, I feel like we've got a lot of seeds inside us that we hold like in a pouch or something, or maybe within our body, and these seeds appear or come to the surface or reveal themselves at various times in our life, and then we choose to ignore them or let them decay, or plant them in our life and see what they might turn into. Because, you know, yes, that seed might turn into a weed that wants to take over. It might not be a good decision. Yes, this seed might turn into a grand oak tree that changes the course of our life. We don't know what this seed contains or what any seed contains within us. But are we going to not plant these seeds, or at least try, just in case it might be the weed? I think that we need to be careful of holding back in that way, where we stop ourselves just in case something bad happens, or just in case that's not a good decision. And we can weigh things up. We're mature people and we've had life experience, and you know, we can base our decision and what we want to do around our experience, around how we see things to be, around our intuition. But let's be careful that we're not keeping all the seeds saved for the day we are a millionaire, or the day that the sun finally shines in our life. Maybe these seeds need to be planted so we can get to those things if they are goals that we want. So let's try not to hold back with the potential new things that want to be planted in our life. Let's have a go and see. Some things will work out, some things won't. That is the nature of life. But let's find the courage to have a go, to give it a try and see what happens. It might just be the best thing that we could have ever chosen for ourselves. So this card and this energy and what we've been doing has been focused around this card, Emotional Rebirth. If you've got more you want to explore with that, you may want to grab that card from your deck and keep it close by for a couple of days if you want to further sit with this energy and see what it means for you on a more personal and real level. So thank you so much. I'm going to pull a card to go. I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I want to thank my 31 people on the healing list today. So thank you so much for your support, and I do trust that you found this helpful and shifting and supportive for you. Next month is September, and it must be probably the 6th year in a row that will be our planting the seeds for new beginnings. So I do it every September, healing list event, and hopefully the weather is good. It has been each year, so hopefully this one is also. But my plan, weather permitting, is to plant you with my potato seeds for September, and then these seeds will literally grow and become potatoes that we eat here. And I've done it differently each year, so it just depends what I have available, but I'll be putting you in with a potato seed or attaching you. Sometimes I've had a toothpick and I've had your name and I've sort of stabbed you into the seed potato and planted you in the ground. Other times I've put you on a shell or a rock or a piece of pottery and put you in with that particular seed. So that will be happening next month, the end of September, planting the seed for new beginnings. And this is the only one of the whole year that is a specific focus. It's spring. We're coming into spring. Well, it's been so warm that it's been quite warm, so it's sort of like spring already. So let's grab a card. If you would like to be a part of that next month, then you can find the link to my Patreon in the video description. And if you are already a patron, I look forward to connecting with you next month if you're inspired to continue. So I'm looking for the best card that the majority of us need now as we move forward from here. So I'm thinking, you know, what do we need to potentially consider moving forward and anchoring the things? I feel like there's been a lot that's come through today, and you might find you want to just pick one or two things that really stand out that you want to sit with and see how this fits into your life. So what do we need to know as we move forward from here, especially in the next 24-ish hours? So the best card for what's next is this. It's Healing Energy Cards, Deck 2, and it's Coming Full Circle. Card 110. This is the last card in the whole deck of 110 cards, coming full circle. So just being the last card in the deck, it highlights endings. And there may be things we're considering over the next 24 hours, or things we're acting on actually, that are us closing doors now, or closing doors in the coming days, weeks, or months. So it's in the rise category. And down here it says, the end of an old era and the start of a new era. Life goes on. Endings are also beginnings. So if we want to plant some or one of those seeds within us that we know that we have, we may not have room for it in our life right now. So there may be some things that need to come to an end. There may be some things that have expired that we're still keeping on going, and we're still keeping, the plant may be dead in our little garden here. It may be dying. We're desperately trying to keep it alive, but that part of our life might be over. Because yes, plants grow and they can be beautiful, but then they may eventually just have a bad season and die. And there are things about our life that we experience and we love, and they're life-changing and amazing, and then there comes a point sometimes where that door, we're done with it. And that plant is just dying there in our garden. Do we pull it up? Sometimes we keep it going for longer than we should because we might feel obligated to, or we might be unsure as to why we need to close this door in our life of something that we like so much. But the time has come in some areas of our life, and this is quite strong at the moment too, where we need to close some doors. So endings are also beginnings. So as you're thinking about the seeds and the new and rebirthing, there may be some things you need to look at closing the door to. It says completion, a new phase starts. Bittersweet, it can be a bittersweet ending or beginning. Message, and close the door. Close the door now. So coming full circle, this is the cycle. So this is the rebirth, really. This is the endings and beginnings rebirth cycle. And that might be something for us to consider moving forward from here. So thank you so much for joining me today. I do trust you found this helpful and supportive. Thank you again to all of my patrons, and I look forward to connecting with you again next month. So have a fantastic rest of your August, and I'll see you next month. Thanks, and bye for now. Thank you.